It probably wouldn't be a wild guess to say that this is not the first grab break tutorial that you clicked on, which means that if you're looking for more grab break tutorials, it's because something is missing from the other tutorials. And while I can't guarantee that this video is going to have exactly what you're looking for, I'm about 95% certain that I can help just about every single one of you guys. Whether you have no idea how to break grabs in the first place and you're a brand new beginner and this is your first time watching any grab break tutorial, or you've been scouring the internet trying to figure out how in the world people are reading grab breaks so quickly and breaking them so consistently. I'll break down exactly how you can do these and give you not one, but 2 different tips to break grabs more consistently that I have not found in any video on YouTube. And I watched a lot to make sure. There's no reason to waste any time. Let's go ahead and get right into it. We're gonna go ahead and get the very beginner's basics out of the way. So if you already know this, go ahead and skip down to the timestamps below to learn what you need to. Fundamentally, the basic baseline way of how to break grabs is you break grabs by pushing the button corresponding to the hand that the person is grabbing you with. So if Jin grabs us with, what hand is he going to grab with? His left hand, that means that we'll press 1 to break that grab. Keep in mind, right now that I'm doing, you can see that like blue line that will follow him as he's grabbing. That means it's a generic grab. That's just 1 plus 3 or 2 plus 4. Generic grabs can be broken with 1 or 2 input. However, for this example, and for better practice, you should break corresponding to the arm that's grabbing you. Left arm is 1 break, right arm is 2 break, and grabbing with both arms at the same time is a 1 plus 2 break. Now that you know the basics, the best way obviously to start learning is to just go to any character that has a full grab game, meaning a grab that can be broken with 1, 2, and 1 plus 2, not counting generic grabs since everybody has one of those. If you don't know a character that has one, go to Jin. He's the best example. Then you just go to your practice settings, change it to defense, and record Jin grabbing you with all 3 of the breaks corresponding to 1, 2, and 1 plus 2, and well, break them. That right there is pretty much what every single person online is telling you to do. But what a lot of people don't tell you is there's another corresponding reason as to why you cannot react to grabs in-game. I'll know people who will sit here and break grabs consistently in the lab and then wonder, why is it when I go into game, I can't break them? Well, the simplest answer, the answer that I see a lot of people give that I think is a really lazy answer is, well, it's because you don't have enough experience. And while that is correct, you don't have enough experience, you can significantly boost the speed in which you learn something if you understand where the mistakes you are making are. And that's what I want to show you right now. The number 1 tip that I can give you genuinely, and this is going to sound crazy, but the reason why your grab breaks are not consistent is the exact same reason why you struggle with punishing, the same reason you struggle to duck strings, or even why you might be able to consistently block Snake Edge, but the second that you go up against a Brian or a Fang in ranked, they'll Snake Edge the hell out of you and you consistently get hit by it. Why do these things happen? Well, to be simply put, you're not looking at your opponent's character. And when I mean looking at your opponent's character, I mean looking at your opponent's character. When you are playing Tekken, you should not be looking at anything other than your opponent's character. You shouldn't be looking at your character. You shouldn't be looking at the space in between your 2 characters. You should be looking at your opponent's character at all times. The only exception to this is probably when you're comboing and you're trying to like get specific space in, and because again they can't move and it's really not that big of a deal. And I know that I said that this is a grab break tutorial and you're probably sitting here going, well, I want to learn how to break grabs. Trust me, if you know all of the information that I talked about before in this video and understand the idea of breaking grabs, I am telling you right now with a 95% certainty, the reason you are not breaking grabs is because you are not looking at your opponent's character. And there's a lot of ways that we can fix this. Obviously, I could just tell you to go into game and say, hey, only look at your opponent's character while you play. And, well, it'll start getting fixed. So if you don't want to do any of the other tips that I tell you here, there's the problem, and you can go ahead and start working on your own in what you feel like is the best way. But if you do want a couple of extra tips on genuinely helping yourself out and how to train yourself to consistently be watching your opponent's moves even when you're not even playing Tekken, check this out. Now keep in mind, everything that I'm about to show you here can also be done as well just by watching YouTube clips. And what it's really going to come down to is just watching replays and watching a certain opponent the entire time, taking down mentally what moves they are doing, but more specifically, since it's a grab break tutorial, we want to try and find a replay, and this is why I went to the replay section here, of a king player. Specifically a king player that either wins or at least comes close. We're going to do this Dominator game here because the king does get 2 rounds off of it, and I know damn well that a Dominator King is probably going to be trying to grab a bunch, so this will be perfect for our example. Obviously, it should be no surprise that I'm using this as an example. This is not meant to demean or insult anybody that I'm using this example for. We're using this for a learning experience, and I want to be able to show you guys something really, really cool that a lot of people don't think about, right? So we're going to go ahead and just pause right off the bat, and who we want to be watching is the king, right? So if you play on left side, it's going to be really good to be finding a king or somebody else who is very grab heavy that's on the right side, and if you're a right side player, obviously then find a king who's on the left side. We want this because this is the most common scenario that you are going to be in, right? Obviously you can get side switch, and later on we want to be able to get comfortable with that, but genuinely I don't feel a reason to practice grab breaks on the opposite side if you are still confused on your consistent side and you're not even looking at the opponent's character. I feel like you got to take it at baby steps at a time, and this is the first step. So we're going to go ahead, and I have not seen this gameplay yet at all, so I have no idea what is going to be coming, but I'm going to be staring directly at this king player and nothing else, right? Looking directly at him. So if we just keep looking directly at the king player, we'll see right there, a grab. Obviously, it was bound to happen. It's king, and that's why I said it's very good to choose king, because, again, it's very obvious that a king player is going to grab, especially at lower ranks. But specifically looking at the king, if we watch carefully, he sidesteps and just waits for him to land, and sidesteps one more time, and then just directly into a grab. There was a good, probably 3-4 seconds of just nothing happening there, so our screen wasn't getting overloaded by like the king throwing out moves and trying to like mix us up with strings and stuff like that. He was literally just doing nothing straight into a grab, right? But there's a really important thing that I do want to show you guys here, and the reason as to why I think replays are extremely important. I actually messed up when originally recording this. And the reason as to why I originally messed up is actually because I said this was a left-handed grab break, a one break. He was grabbing with his left hand going in. However, that is not the case, and that is why it's very important, I think, to watch replays, because if you just sit there and stand in practice mode, the characters are directly like perpendicular with each other. They're standing in a perfect, exact, neat line. You can see both of the arms. It doesn't fully mimic what can happen in a game, because in this situation, the left arm was reaching, but the problem was the right arm was actually reaching more, and if I take control, actually, if I go back real quick, and I'll take control of this here in a second here to show you guys, it will become obvious that he was actually reaching with his right arm. And even though that left arm does come out, we see it with the right arm. And if we wait for a second, there is no chance that we would have been able to see that right arm. No shot. Like, not at all. There's no actual reality where you are able to see that right arm in this situation. And that's where it kind of comes into the unfortunate part about grab breaks, is you have to realize that, especially when learning grab breaks and learning the animations, there is a length that each arm will reach out that corresponds. And if you're not used to the short arm, like the arm that is not like the important arm to read what you need to break it with, if you're not familiar with how far that arm usually reaches, it will come across as very deceiving. And of course, the king player just did a normal generic grab, so you were able to break it with any button, 1 or 2. But we want to sit here and learn grab breaks as if they aren't generic grabs, so when we are playing against better players who aren't using generic grabs, we have our breaks down and we're ready to fight against these kinds of players. So again, this is something that you would obviously be able to come across in an actual match, but in the heat of the moment when you're trying to learn about these kinds of things, like this Victor player didn't learn anything from this exact example, but us, the viewer, and me as well creating this video, learned and were able to see, oh no, this was not a one-handed break. This is not a one-break grab. This was a two-break grab that was a generic break, but again, we're not talking about that specifically. And it was just hidden because the axis that our camera was at was off-axis from the two characters, so the actual grab break arm was hidden. And I feel like it's a little deceptive to make grab break tutorials and not explain this specific thing, because a lot of people will sit there, again, and sit in practice mode and practice and practice and practice, and this kind of stuff will happen to them in game, and they'll be like, what the hell, why am I not able to break this? I pressed 1, that was a 1 break, I saw his left arm come out, and it wouldn't be until they would come into the replays and watch their own replays, if they're even watching replays in the first place, to go, oh, I broke with the wrong hand. it was actually his right arm that was reaching out, not his left arm, and it was just skewed. I'll let this keep playing in the background while I'm talking, because I think I've kind of already gotten across my point. So while I talk, if you guys want to keep doing practice and sit here and watch this king player and try and guess, the idea that you want to be able to do is, if you have the time and you're not on the go watching videos on YouTube or anything like that, sitting here for, maybe doing like grab breaks for 5-10 minutes or whatever, and then watching maybe 1 or 2 replays and just sitting here and staring at this person and pressing on your actual controller. As you see, it paused for me as well, but that's not really important. And pressing what you think the relative grab break for that is, and then going back and seeing, did that work? Would that have worked? Being able to have an active learning situation where you can physically watch somebody play and actively interact with it and go, that's a 2 break, that's a 1 break, that's a 1+2 break, and then go in and test yourself and be like, oh, well, no, that actually wasn't, or no, I was correct on that. This, topped with sitting in the actual practice range and practicing the timing of the grab breaks, will get you multiple different skills. It'll, 1, your reaction speed will continue to increase. You'll understand grab breaks and the animations of a 1-2 and a 1+2 break, and you'll be able to see actual in-game examples of win situations you could have been grabbed in, and you get to test your knowledge on if you would have gotten grabbed in that situation or not by, like I said, pressing like 1 or 2 or 1+2 respectively, and then going back and looking at it. You get an extra level of understanding, and again, like I said, this isn't necessary to get like grab breaks. This isn't something that everybody is doing, but I wanted to be able to make this video and give you guys this example because there are people that learn slower than others. There are people that learn differently than others, and I feel like just to assume that every single person is going to be able to learn grab breaks just by pressing 1-2, 1+2 for 15 minutes in the practice range and then stare at their character and nothing but their character their entire time, they're going to get frustrated and people aren't going to understand why they can't react to grab breaks. And I talked about it earlier, but again, this is the exact same reason as to why you're getting hit by snake edges, why you're not ducking highs and strings that you might be practicing. It's because you aren't looking at the character. Genuinely, I truly believe once you start looking at your opponent's character and really like watching them, your reaction speed is going to increase by a lot, your grab breaks are going to increase by a lot, your punishment game is going to increase by a lot, your Tekken in general is going to skyrocket, and I don't feel like people talk about this enough. So next time you're out and you've got your phone or any other device and you have some free time, consider pulling up, watching like a Tekken stream or watching some Tekken VODs and really studying the opposite character from the side that you play on to start training your brain while you're not even playing, so you can start practicing, watching, and understanding and knowing what it feels like. I hope you guys enjoyed this video and learned something from it. It's a very, very, very unorthodox style of teaching grab breaks, but I feel like it's an unorthodox style that I think a lot of people need to learn and understand because there are so many newer players that I've talked to who really don't understand this is just how grab breaks work. But as always, guys, thank you so much. Happy New Year to everybody, and I'll see you guys in the next one.